Hey, what's up, yo? How's it going? So, summer is definitely here in Italy right now. It's June, it's hot, and it's fucking awesome. So, I know it's been a couple of weeks since I last made a video. I've just been pretty busy with work and with exams and whatnot at the moment. So, I just wanted to give you all a bit of an update about what's going on in my life at the moment, some of my immediate plans for the future, and also just talk about some of the downsides about teaching English in Italy, some of the bad things about teaching here. Because you know, life in Italy is pretty fucking awesome, but it ain't perfect. So I just wanted to kind of mention some of the not so good things about being here, which I'll mention first. So, quick news on my front is I'm leaving Brindisi. I will be leaving Brindisi within the next 8 or 9 days, so pretty soon. My plan is that I'm gonna go to Spain and work in a summer camp over there for a month. After Spain, I'm gonna go travel for a bit, and after that, what I'm planning to do is come back to Italy, work in a summer camp in the north of Italy before moving to Naples. Now, I'm moving to Naples primarily for financial reasons, which brings me on to one of my first downsides of teaching English in Italy, and that is the pay fucking sucks. I mean, a lot of people can kind of afford, they can kind of break even and whatnot, but you certainly aren't getting rich or even really saving anything. Now, in all the time that I've been here in Italy, I've sometimes had to ask my parents for help. Every month I've been here, I've had to ask the school for some money in advance, just because, you know, I can't afford to put food on my table, and it's not very good, you know, when you're trying to make a life for yourself and you're barely only just breaking even. Especially because of the living costs here in Italy and everything. It's quite an expensive country. That the money sucks. And don't get me wrong, like, a lot of the food is really cheap, which is really quite cool. Providing you don't eat in restaurants and you go to the markets and everything, you can get really nice, good local food. But you know, you can't really afford to go on a night out in town very often, or travel or anything like that. Even in all the time I've been here, I've never even been back to the UK. Like, I've never gone back to the UK while I've been living here. So, yeah, that's one downside to teaching in Italy, is just the fact that the money sucks. And where I'm going in Naples, I'm going to earn quite a bit more money than I do here in Brindisi. And also the rent is free. And that brings me on to another downside about teaching in Italy. Compared to a lot of other countries, particularly in the Far East and the Middle East, is that a lot of the times you have zero assistance with accommodation. Now, I got really lucky with my school here in Brindisi, is that they had an apartment, and the teachers came and stayed in there. So it was relatively simple. I mean, yeah, we did have to pay for rent and whatnot, but we got pretty lucky, and most schools here in Italy aren't like that. Like, they don't provide assistance with apartment, or they provide very little assistance with finding apartments. And they're also pretty vague on their description of "we provide support in finding apartments." Now, we provide support in finding apartments could be anything from they will directly go out of their way to help you, to, you know, here's a website for a couple of letting agencies, talk to them yourself. Like, so they're really quite vague on that front, but there's very little assistance generally across the country in finding apartments, which, if you are a single person and you're quite happy to share an apartment with other people, maybe you could, you know, go splitsies with some of the other teachers, or look for room shares, that kind of thing. Or also, like, even check out like Airbnb just while you're getting settled in. But generally speaking, rent is pretty expensive in Italy, particularly in the north, particularly in the bigger cities. And it can be quite a hassle trying to sort it out, particularly if you don't know the language, like trying to negotiate your own contracts and and everything, and also the fact that apartments tend to come on 12-month contracts, whereas a lot of the schools that you work at, they'll have between an 8 and a 10-month contract. So you're looking at pretty much July and August minimum. You're looking at July and August with no pay. But if you've got an apartment for a 12-month contract, you've got to get your money for rent somewhere somehow. So that is one downside, is just the fact of trying to make ends meet, and also like the accommodation situation. Because I understand in a lot of countries like China, South Korea, the Middle East, even when I was in Thailand, like my first school there, they provide accommodation, and either it's free accommodation or you pay not very much for it. But here in Italy, generally, it's kind of not like that. So just be prepared if you're thinking about coming to teach over here in Italy, that have some money saved up before you come, just because you're going to be wanting to look for somewhere to stay, and you might be needing to stay in an Airbnb when you first arrive in the country, or even a hostel or something like that. So yeah, that's another downside. Another not so good thing about teaching in Italy, particularly in the private language schools. Now, I've not got experience of teaching in the public schools. I mean, I have been to the public schools here, but I'm not directly a public school teacher. But with a lot of the language schools that you have here, they are very, very prone to shepherding you off to external companies. So by that I mean, like, you might have a 25 to 30 hour week, and you might have only 10 of those hours actually on site at your language school, because the other 15 hours are going to be hopping back and forth between some of the local schools, the local public schools, companies, factories, pretty much anything, just businesses, offices, that pretty much call the school looking for English teachers, and then the school will send you over there with or without assistance in transport getting there and back. So just keep that in mind as well, is that when you're going to be coming to teach over here, prepare to be doing a lot of traveling in and around the town you're in, because currently at my school where I've been at, I've worked at one of the local high schools 5 days a week. So that's literally 5 days a week that I'm at the public school. My apologies for the wind noise right now. It's just getting a little bit blowy here. Yeah, I've worked at the public high school 5 days a week, and that was every morning. I've worked at two different public primary schools with the same company, including awkward hours, you know, and you're going back and forth between these places, and I've been taking the buses on it. Now, I was lucky because the school reimbursed my bus tickets, but they didn't want to, and it wasn't until some of the teachers in my school kicked off that they actually started reimbursing bus tickets. Pretty much to them, they just wanted you to walk it or fund it yourself, which is completely unfair, considering one teacher might go there 1 day a week, another teacher might be up there 5 days a week. You know, it's just not fair at all. So yeah, you're going to be shepherded to a lot of different places when you're a teacher, particularly the language school here. Another downside to teaching in Italy is the fact that you could, or probably will, be asked to work on Saturdays. So if you're a person who likes to go out on a Friday night, or you enjoy the weekend, or you want to travel on your weekend, just keep in mind that you could be asked to do 6 day weeks, because I've been doing 6 day weeks every day that, well, for the last several weeks that I've been here. At least since February, I've been doing 6 day weeks. So keep that in mind if you're planning to come here. So let's see, quick summary of the downsides of teaching here in Italy. First of all, the money isn't good. Secondly, the situation of accommodation combined with expenses is not very good. Thirdly, the fact that you're going to be shepherded to the other schools and other places in the area, and finally the hours and the days that you could be asked to work. So just know that Italy is a really cool place to teach, and it's a really fucking awesome place to live, and I love being here, and I plan to stay here for a long time. But just keep those things in mind, that it ain't perfect, and you know, it ain't paradise. So if you come in here expecting it to be perfect and everything, then you know, you're going to be really disappointed. But just keep in mind the things that I've mentioned, and any other things, you know. Shoot us a question if you've got any questions or out, anything like that, and I'll speak to you all soon.